Welcome back to my car's shop. Today we're going to be continuing to work on the engine on the 26 Oakland, and we'll see where it goes. Dad's going to be here today. We're going to work together on this project, and we're going to get it one more step closer to running. Let's watch the show intro, and I'll see you in 30 seconds on the other side. Really, I will. I'll be there, I promise.
Working out of a 100-year-old refurbished barn, bringing 35 years of experience to projects considered beyond repair. Vision, creativity, and problem solving are essential tools in this place. Watch as we transform junk into polished metal miracles. This is My Car's Shop.
Well, it's good to be back on the Oakland project, which I try to do every Friday, and you're probably seeing this on Sunday. Got a little cleanup to do here in the shop after working on stitches over there, getting that frame rail in. It's not in, but it's test fitted, so if you haven't seen that episode, be sure to check it out. It's actually the one that's airing right now as I'm recording this one. So I want to get a couple cars out of here and open some space up. I got the doors open. It's supposed to be in the 60s today here in Michigan, so we don't have to run the furnace, so you won't have to put up with all the noise. So let's just, too much talk. Just shut up and work. Good grief, Mike, what is the matter with you? So I got the oil pan over here and started doing a little cleanup on the inside, and just getting out some of the lead and stuff from taking the old screens out, and discovered that I could see daylight through, and lo and behold, it looks like it's been hit by a shotgun. So we have all kinds of issues here, little pinholes in the bottom of the pan. We got a job of work here to get this cleaned up and so it doesn't leak, and I think what happened, it's obviously had issues before, so this is a long time issue because it's been brazed here to put the bung back on, and there's a piece of lead here where somebody soldered it up. So this is a long-term issue where there's been probably salt on the outside of this pan, although I know this car wasn't driven much in the winter. It could just been moisture, but I think the majority of it was probably from moisture on the inside. Finally just ate its way through, and I'm sure that this probably was leaking a little bit, although these holes probably weren't as big back in the day. And now that I've gone over and wire brushed, and of course there was so much sludge that was kind of like plugging things as well, so like blood clots, so to speak, stopping the leakage. But I've got a real job here to try to patch this up. I'm going to try going at this with the TIG in my kindergarten skill right now. I'm not sure how good I'm going to be. I know I could do a good job with the MIG on this, but I'd have to put a lot more heat into it, so I'm going to try this with the MIG. The ideal thing would be to TIG braze this. I don't have any silicone bronze TIG rod right now, and I may need to just wait and get that. The other option, and this is a very viable option, is to cut this piece of the pan out right here and just make a new piece to put in there. We shall see. I could make that out of 18 gauge steel, and it would look very nice. I could just about blend it so you wouldn't even tell that it was there. But I'm going to try to patch it first, and we will see. And we'll do a water test on it once I'm further along here, and see if we get any seepage at all. And then we can even do a gasoline test. I really don't recommend gasoline, so probably wouldn't use gasoline, but use mineral spirits or lacquer thinner or something, and see if we get any weepage that way as well. Something thinner than water. But I'm going to try to TIG up a couple smaller spots here and see how it goes, and then I'll, you'll see. Dad should be here soon. He called a little bit ago, said he was running behind, so I've got the shop pretty well cleaned up and just decided to go ahead and move forward and see what I can do. Just want to get you over here so you can see the Swiss cheese. Maybe we should shove crackers in there. Lots and lots, and there's other ones I'm sure I'm going to uncover as we get clean. But that determines that I'm not saving any of this old patina crap on here. I've got to clean this pan perfectly to make sure that we don't have any of the little pinholes. Nothing more annoying than having cars that drip on the floor. It's going to drip enough as it is as an old car, so we're going to try to patch everything we can. Okay, shift gears. I just made a phone call to Wayne, and he has an oil pan all ready to go for $100 plus shipping. Not messing with it. So we'll put this one on the shelf and put it away and get a new oil pan coming for it. So we're going to move on to other things on the car today, and we'll just keep moving forward, and we'll have an oil pan hopefully within a week. So because of the oil pan issue, we've decided to go ahead and shift gears, and we're going to pull the front wheels off and get the rims off of the hubs, if that's what we want to call them. Basically get this outer rim that the tire's mounted on off of the inner rim that the spokes mount to, and look at what it's going to take to recondition these wheels and give them a good inspection. With being parked as long as it was, we're concerned that there may be some dry rot, and so we want to look these things over real good and get them cleaned up and get the wheels restained and stuff like that. That's probably the only actual restoration work we're going to do on this car. The rest of it will be more preservation, but we'll get into that later. So we're about ready to probably order tires as well. That's going to be a bit of an expense and maybe a challenge to get right now with the shortages in the industry for everything, but we'd like to get this so it'll roll around on its own wheels and be ready that when we get the engine fired up, we may be able to put it in gear, start it, and putz it around the yard a little bit. So anyway, that's what we're doing right now. Okay, so we got the special wheel wrench here. Try to get these broke loose. I think it's probably going to take a little bit of pounding here. I have a pounding device. I think in the shop you have one.
See, got a bigger hand.
Exactly. Okay, that worked. Good. The tool is not exactly accurate.
Is that a light tool?
Yep, that was under the seat. Grease has turned to oil, it's so old. Okay. It's also turned to sludge. I guess it's separated is what the deal is. Oh, good grief. Okay, so we'll get the cotter pin out of there and we'll get this, hopefully get this wheel out of here. Okay, so it's not a cotter pin, it is a nail. I'm shuddering, shaking my head, but it is what it is. So, oh, that's terrifying. That's just terrifying. Don't replace cotter pins with nails. They're not built to handle that. They can break and fall out. Of course, this one won't come out, but
Fancy bends.
yeah. Almost a two-man job, I think. One to tap and one to pull.
Oh, there we go. That should help.
Okay, cool. And that same wrench has the, I think, the wheel nut. What did I give that to you?
You don't want this.
No. You can throw it up.
Oops, wrong way.
Might be left-hand thread, I don't know. It might just be gummy. a lot of times on older cars, things on the left side on the wheels will be left thread, things on the right side will be right thread. So if I was a Chevrolet guy, I might not know that, but that's the way Dodge always was. So.
Handy tool.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Okay, probably a screwdriver to pop that. Okay, pull the wheel off. Should come out. That bearing might come out, so we'll want to be careful about that.
Okay.
Easy peasy. Pull that. Ooh, not good. And the race came out in the outer race, or the bearing itself didn't. Okay, hold on. Cool, and there's the inner bearing. Got some brake lining left, that's good. We won't have to mess with that.
Oh yeah, it's quite a bit.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, let's have
Linings. Probably had new linings put on the bands at one time.
bands.
Yep, these are brake bands, so I'll get you over here and show you, but they don't squeeze out like a modern car, they squeeze around this way onto a drum here. So I can get up.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Doesn't roll very well for some reason.
What did you do to hold that wheel in place on the other side?
I didn't, I just tapped that with a hammer and it.
Okay.
I brought it over for you, you just didn't see it.
Yeah. This is correct.
Yeah, the
correct
cap
thread.
on the other side was normal thread, so you should be able to. Yep, there you go. Because it's the wheel itself, they're all going to be the same. Because you could switch them from side to side, you'd never know which was left thread. So.
It's stuck in there. Using as pretty as the other one was.
So the way these are attached, they're wedges here that hold the rim to the inner rim, and we need to take those off and separate this outer rim that holds the tire from the inner rim that mounts the outer rim to the hub. So we'll get some lubricant on these and hopefully we'll get them out of there good. I think the impact gun's the best way to go. They are just carriage bolts, so it's not the end of the world if we have an issue, but obviously we don't want to break them if we don't have to. So. Okay, and as I was mentioning, these are band brakes, so the brake lining is in here and they squeeze this way around the brake drum rather than modern ones that squeeze from the inside out. So remember, this is 1926, this is old technology. The linings, I'm sure, had to have been replaced at some point on this, which was a common practice. But they're in good shape, at least on the front, so that's good. We don't have to mess with that.
Here's the brake drum.
Yep, so here's the brake drum. You can see how polished that is. Here, that's the surface that the brake's right on. This is just in here, is just airspace, nothing in there. challenge, as always, with an old car is determining how much do you mess with, how much do you go with your instincts, because you don't want to create more problems. And what we ran into that I didn't expect when I've worked on other vehicles of this vintage, these bolts down in here are peened over. And I've got a big caution about grinding those off and taking those out. Again, going back to the adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm gonna do a thorough inspection on every wheel, and if we have one that has an issue, we will at that point address it. But this one looks good. I've checked all the spokes around. They're nice and tight. They're wedged together nicely, and this is a little bit of a surprise. I wasn't expecting that to be this way. I expected to be able to take this off easily. We're gonna clean these up real good with the power washer and just take this old paint off. You can see green here, which clinches in my book. This car was green with green wheels. I seriously doubt that's a green primer. So at some point along the way, somebody painted these wheels orange. I'm sure we could verify that if we took the drums off and peeked underneath there and so forth. But I think step one is to get the other two off the car, and then we'll pull the tires off like we did this one and take it up to the car wash and get them power washed down real good. And then we'll start doing some sanding and so forth. And that's obviously not all gonna happen today, but and do a cosmetic. We'll need to determine how we're gonna finish them at that point, what's gonna be the best option. I got some ideas on that. So as you saw in the time lapse, we went around and inspected the wood real good on all these. Again, on the ends, same thing, it looks the same. So those bolts are swedged over, and I think for now we will just sand them up and do a cosmetic on them just to get them sealed again so that we get some moisture back into them and leave it like that. I'm concerned about pulling those apart, as I said, and we'll inspect them as best we can as we go along, but they look good on the ends here. This would be a spot where we would expect that it could be some splitting and dry rot, and I'm not seeing anything there that looks a concern. We had one, but I think it was either cut poorly or else it was wedged to keep it tight in the rim. So it looks good. So we're going to show you the process of taking the rim out from in the tire, and that starts with a cotter pin here that we need to pull. And we're not going to probably need to use the tool for pulling these rims in. We already did one, but I was actually on the phone ordering the new tires, so
New tires are ordered.
yep, they'll be here, so we'll show you those when they get here. They should be here in a week or so, I would guess. So anyway, we're going to take you through the process on the time lapse of pulling this apart, but there's a cotter pin here, and then yeah, you'll see. We have the rim split now and able to pull this together so we can take the tire off. So it's just a matter of going around it and perfect. Yep. We'll just walk it around, take it off. This way. Sorry, not in front of the camera.
Yeah.
I'm telling the photographer to worry about the camera. I should know better. Okay, good. Flip it over. I guess we're not quite done. Okay, there we go. So again, you can see this rim is split and flexing and so forth. That's how you get it. And there's actually a tool that we have that can pull these, but at this point we don't need it because the tires aren't stuck to the rim. So, let me put the back over. Put this way.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So that's right. And we want to walk around this way so that we're coming back to the stem.
All right.
There we go.
Sorry about that.
That's it. It came too far. That's all. This is going to come here. There we go. So we're trying to walk that rim up. I think we need to switch.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry. Okay.
Okay.
It's just like a big bicycle tire in many ways, except it's not drop center. And we're working our way around back to the stem so that we can pull the tube out, the stem of the tube out. So you want to make sure that you do that. And it's just a habit, but I wanted to mention that. So you start just on the one side of it, walk around it, and then you can pop it right out of the tube. Let's carefully save that liner. Okay, good. So we saved the liner, looks good. This tube doesn't actually have any big blowouts like the other one. Not that we're going to use it, but this one had just a little hole in it. All right, next step, we're going to go to the car wash and wash up those wheels and get some lunch. So let's go for a ride.
It was at this point that I realized I had forgotten to bring the tripod for the camera, so what you see is what you get. Here's a couple still pictures from the car wash when we're cleaning the wheels. And here's what they look like after we have power washed them and gotten them clean.
All right, well, I forgot to take the tripod along to the car wash, so we didn't get anything of that, but we got these all blasted up now, and they're looking good. So the next step then is to start stripping this old crusty paint off of there and see what that's going to look like. So I'm going to just do a little test spot here and see how that goes, but we'll go from there. We spent some time just cleaning up this one spoke just to see how it's going to go. Didn't take too long. 10-15 minutes probably, and I'll get better at it as we go. So needs a little bit more work, but you can see how nice they are. And I was looking at this a lot closer, and you can see definitely that Grandpa, or I can't believe it was Great Grandpa, so it was probably my grandpa when he had the car. He painted these wheels orange for sure. There is orange paint spilled over on the rim, and there's orange paint spilled over on the hub in here. You can tell it wasn't masked off the best. So underneath this, of course, what's going to be is green, the original color, which you can see here, and you can see right down into the wood. So Dad and I have talked about this quite extensively, and this is the way we're going to handle this. And after we start driving the car, we will keep a very close watch on these wheels to make sure that none of these loosen up. I feel like because of the way these are put together on the other side with the peening on those nuts, like I said, we could grind those off. We could probably get, I know we can buy these bolts. But I think we both agree that at this point that we'll check them thoroughly and keep a close eye on them when we start driving the car. We'll recondition as much as we can to get this old paint off of here, that lacquer stuff that's just going crazy here. And just keep a close eye on them and check them on a regular basis for a while to make sure they're not loosening up. I've had other wooden spoke wheels similar to this. on other vehicles I've worked on, and I know we had a Model T that one wheel came loose and we had to pull it apart and go through the process of fixing it, but the other ones on that vehicle stayed tight. So I think that's the best gamble, knowing this was stored in a dry location, and going through and sanding these like we are is definitely getting a very close inspection. Dad's going to take one home and he's going to work on one. We'll get these done, get them back on the car, and then get the back ones off and go through the same process in another week or two here. So I'll put some time lapse going maybe and show you the process of sticking another spoke here, just so you can get the feel for what it takes, and we'll go from there. And at this point on the wheel, we would start going to softer grits and getting it done a little bit better, etc. We may use a little power sander, a small wedge-shaped sander to try to do some of this. But it's basically do that, lather, rinse, and repeat. We'll get the steel cleaned up and get the hub cleaned up. Get these stained with probably a light oak, and they're going to look absolutely gorgeous. So we're making good progress, but as you can see, got two of them roughed in, and you saw how long that one took. The first one took even longer than what you saw on the time lapse. But we'll go around. There's 12 of them total. We've got 2 done, so that means there should be 10 more to do. So a few hours of work, and we'll go forward. So just so you know what I'm using, I started out with 40 grit, which is way too aggressive for wood. But the point of the 40 grit is to get this lacquer paint loosened up and take off the top layer without getting into the wood. So when I start seeing wood coming through the green underneath, I stop and move over. So the goal again of the 40 is just to try to scrape off all of this old crappy lacquer. Then we're going to an 80 grit to get it to this point here. Then we'll go to a 120, clean it up more, and then a 220. You'll notice that I was going with a long piece of sandpaper around like this here and doing that around. But you don't want to sand across the grain any more than necessary. And again, the point is just to get the paint off, not to actually sand the wood. So there's a few little scratches there yet. We'll get out of there, but it's looking good. We'll go over that with, like I said, an oak stain probably, and then we'll varnish it, and it should look real nice. But 2 spokes out of 12 on a wheel times 4 wheels. Do the math. 48 spokes. We got 2 done. So 46 more to go. Well, today didn't go as planned with the oil pan, but I think that is a better solution. As I mentioned, I called Wayne, and he has one with new screens already installed. So we'll be able to get that oil pan and should be able to just pop it right in the car. So Wednesday we'll get that ordered because he's out of town right now, and get that shipped out here so I won't have to spend hours welding holes shut. I kind of had in mind we wanted to get started on the wheels. I wasn't expecting we were going to go ahead and get the wheels and inner tubes ordered today, but that's big. You know, at the bottom line in this is if there is something radically wrong with this engine, which I don't anticipate, we'll find a different power plant to put in here of the same era so that it's at least period correct, something that will be less expensive than rebuilding this one. Or, you know, we might rebuild it, but unless we have a severe rod knock or something, I really don't think that's going to be an issue. But 75 years, we know nothing about what the condition was, why it was parked, as I've said before. We've obviously found engine problems, as I've mentioned before as well. We fixed all the issues we found, the cam, which was from sitting, the valves, which were just shot, which is probably why it was parked. So, you know, we'll go from there. We know we got a stuck clutch, other small issues, but these things are really easy to slip another power plant in if we had to. So I don't think it's a mistake to go ahead and get the wheels or get the tires done, get these wheels done up. I kind of had it in mind, as I said, but didn't think we'd go as far as we have. And we've got a good game plan on getting the wheels reconditioned as much as possible without taking them apart. I did want to mention a couple of things about the wheels just for educational purposes, what I know about them. So let me grab that wheel, take you over to the bench, and just show you a couple things if you ever have to take one of those apart, what to be concerned about. As we've seen, we have these carriage head type studs in here, bolts in here, and they're swedged over, pounded down so these nuts don't come loose. Clocking is very, very important in these wheels. They were kind of assembled as a unit and clocked properly so that there was no wheel run out. So if you ever have to take one of these apart, always make sure that you mark a spoke and the drum and maybe with a stud or whatever, so that you put it back together clocked exactly the same way as you took it apart. You could put this in any number of degrees because there is a bunch. I don't know, I didn't count them, but so a dozen bolts in there. So you have 12 different positions this could go in, and that potentially could give you wheel run out. So you don't want to put that together without having clocked the drum to a spoke. Again, a couple of reasons why I was concerned about this, taking it apart. If these spokes look like they weren't in good condition, I would, but we're going to take that gamble. I think it's a Dad and I talked about it extensively, and we feel that it's a safe gamble. The car's not going to see a ton of miles. You know, we're not going to be driving it from here to Florida or anything, and we're just feeling like with the condition that we've seen of these spokes so far, as tight as they are in the rim, we feel confident that they're not dry rotted down inside of here, from what we can tell. So it's a calculated risk, but I think it's a safer bet, a more conservative bet than pulling all of this apart. I've done it before, I know how it's done, but based on experience, the way these all wedge together and so forth, I just don't think it's necessary. If we had to, we would, just like a lot of other things. So just wanted to give you that little segue on if you have to pull these apart, the importance of clocking this drum to the wheel to make sure it goes back in exactly the same alignment. So one step closer to completing this project and maybe being able to put it around in the yard a little bit within the next month or two, depending what other little snafus we run into. So I think that's going to do it for this episode. There's going to be more coming. I've got to sandblast the wheels in preparation for putting the new tires and tubes in it, get those painted up, and again finish the wood and metal prep on the hub. I'll call it the wooden spoke wheel hub, but the other wheel hub goes on, yeah, terms, words, imagine. I think that's going to do it. So let's wrap this episode up. There's a lot of other stuff on the channel. There's, I think, 8 or 9 more episodes here on the Oakland, maybe more. I don't remember for sure. But there's a lot. There's 41 episodes on the Challenger, so don't miss out on that. Some episodes on the Pro Street Dart. Some episodes on the 74 Swinger. There's a lot of stuff here if you really think about it. So we are over 140 episodes on the channel, and there's hours and hours and hours of education and enjoyment for you here. So be sure to check it all out. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do that. That really helps us out. And I say us, I don't mean just me personally or the people that come here into the shop. It helps out all of the viewers, because the more viewers we get, the more subscribers to the channel that we get, the more YouTube pushes us up in the algorithm, the more people will come here, the more things we're going to be able to offer as time goes forward. We are on Instagram /MyCarShop. We are on Facebook /MyCarShop. Go over to Facebook and check it out. Pinned to the top of the page is a thread called Show Us Your Junk. And a lot of guys have been posting pictures of their projects over there, what they're working on, where they're at, showing us some of the progress. And I'd like to see that thread continue to grow, continue to build the My Car Shop community here. You guys are just awesome. It's nice to see you guys kind of interacting with each other a little bit. So go over there and chip in on that and spread the word to other people. Get other people to come over here. Congratulations to Bob again, who happens to be an Oakland owner, for winning the Super Clean giveaway. Bob Freeman, I hope I got your name right. I'm going off the top of my head. Awesome that you won. And so I'll be contacting you and getting Super Clean to send you those products that you won. So thanks for participating. I told Becky this morning I thought it was really cool that it was an Oakland guy that won. We've got a bunch of Oakland viewers here, obviously, but I know you have a 28 Oakland, and you're following this project specifically right here because of your car. So awesome that you won. Looking forward to hearing how you enjoy those products. All right, shut up, Mike. Let's wrap it up and just say the last thing we have to say so that the viewers can get on to watching other shows here on the channel. Rock!